From the Vox Populi studios in Miami Lakes, we bring you a different program today. We bring you Dr. Brian Ramos, a good friend, and he's also a part of the Nootropics company. And let me tell you, I've been talking to him for the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes, versing me on all the products and what they do, and it is really amazing. But rather than hearing it from me, you're going to hear from Dr. Ramos now. So welcome, Doctor, to our podcast.
Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Dr. Brian Ramos, and I have a PhD from Yale School of Medicine in neuroscience. And so one of the things that I think we're in the business at Simply Nootropics is is almost like the idea of tonifying your brain so that your brain is more adaptable, so that it ages better and with grace, and that it operates better so that you can think better. You can have the energy to do the things that you love to do. And so, we have like products for sleep right now, for optimizing the brain, and also for energy. And we're going to come out with other products. Eventually, we'll go beyond the nervous system as well into other bodily functions as well. But today, if you want, we can talk about a little bit about aging and these products that are designed for giving you that energy boost that oftentimes we don't get with caffeine or energy bars, or a lot of the things that the mainstream media sells you as the option for energy. A lot of times they're just calories, or they just give you that little boost to kind of keep going.
It seems to be, like people are, when they watch TV and you see the commercials from, for example, Balance of Nature, and they show two bottles, one red and one green, meaning vegetables and whatever greens you may intake. How does that compare to this type of product?
Yeah, so a lot of the food industry uses a lot of very smart marketing. So in the example that you say, let's say I go buy B8 or some other drink, all of that industry is really a farce, in the sense that it's not a substitute for eating real food. So the first thing that I would say that I would recommend is not just to focus on something like this and supplement, but to have a good, well-balanced diet, eat whole foods like Mother Nature offers them. Like there's a difference between an apple and an apple pie. And oftentimes I think
an apple pie is much better too.
Yeah. But like the process of taking those apples and converting them into the pie is a chemical reaction. And so people often are aware of that you have to learn that your body's chemistry and that you have to give it the right chemistry. And so one of the things that we do is that we learn the things that change as you age, so that you can then kind of like supplement and adapt your body so that you kind of give your body that boost.
I see.
And so, for example, we were talking earlier that this product, NMN powder, is designed to do just that. So NMN is a precursor. It's used to make an electron carrier called NAD. This electron carrier, think of it as a shuttle. You eat food, you absorb the food, you send it to your cells. Your mitochondria use glucose, one of the molecules that you get from food, and it starts to strip off the electrons. They can't just go into the soup of the cell. They're shuttled or carried somewhere where they're used to make the form of energy that you need, ATP. As you age, that electron carrier goes down. And NMN is a way in which you supplement by giving what's used to make it a boost. For example, Michael J. Fox and others that were struggling with Parkinson's disease, that's a dopaminergic, or dopamine neurons are lost. They start to die. It's a neurodegeneration. They start to lose dopamine, and what the researchers did was they supplemented with a precursor to dopamine. And that helped to ameliorate, to make better the symptoms, because it helped to offset some of the deficits that were occurring. And that's, in a sense, what you're attempting to do here, is that as you age, you're losing something and you take a supplement to give it a boost, in a sense. And so, that's where it's a form of like biohacking, in a sense, where you learn the biology and then you learn how to go in and kind of hack it like a computer. You say, okay, this, let me remove this, or let me add this, and give myself that extra kick. And lastly, it's important to understand that what really is energy. So I have a mastermind, and in one of the modules I teach, it's called Dimensions of Energy. And I explain all the different dimensions of energy. And the one that most people think is energy is physical energy, where they think of energy as being something really physical, almost like muscular. And in fact, energy is more mental and emotional. It's more of a subtle thing than a more physical thing. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes we feel drained, not because physically we're incapable, it's because mentally we're just drained. Think of if you had like a hard day and you just come home and you're just like, oh man, I'm just worn out. You don't really want to do anything. You don't want to go to the gym. But once you break that inertia, and you get to the gym, let's say, all of a sudden you find yourself with energy. You're like, holy crap, I'm feeling better than I did. And you start lifting weights, you start running, and the energy starts flowing. A lot of that is really energy not moving properly, not being used. And so with a product like this, it's designed to tap into multiple levels of those dimensions, because mitochondria are found both in your body and also in your brain. And so it will work at a physical level, it will work at a mental level. And so it's giving you kind of like that upgrade that often people are lacking.
So I'm glad that you mentioned, that affects the brain as well, because that's one of the things that people worry the most. And with so many millions of people, experiencing mental illness, like the most popular, the Alzheimer's, disease and whatever, that will help diminish the chances.
So if you look at the research, it does show that it's able to counter some of the cognitive deficits associated with age, as well as with neurodegeneration. So there is some evidence that it does have some beneficial effects. So I would say yes, research is supporting it. I mean, could there be more work done? Is it the only answer? No. The other thing in terms of the progression is that I have found for over 2 decades I've known this, is there's a relationship between chronic stress and neurodegeneration. And I have a module in my mastermind that it's in my, I think call it Buddha brain. Like I teach people how to kind of like have this master's brain power. And in that module, I just recently recorded it. It has, I talk about like how an overactive brain is shortening our lifespan. So how us not balancing thinking with just being. Think of like taking time to just kind of go for a leisurely walk, not really do anything, think I need to just walk and just kind of let go, or just sit somewhere quietly, close your eyes, meditate, mindfulness. All of those things are great practices that have been shown to reduce the stress overload and to take your brain and shift it into a different mode that allows it to power down, to become more coherent, and then to counter some of the problems that you see with stress. And so one of the interesting things is that overactivation and that chronic stress that we're often in switches our brain's chemistry away from serotonin, melatonin, which is our natural day-night cycle. You wake up, you want to turn on serotonin to engage the outer world. And then at night, as the sun sets, the light changes from blue right now, you see the skyline blue, to like orange-red, and that cues your brain to start upregulating melatonin. And you should start relaxing and go to bed. It switches it to another chemistry, stress does, and into one that produces these acidic compounds that have inflammatory and degenerative effects that start to add up over time. And so again, like we talked about earlier, a lot of what we often feel as we age is really a product of that life's grind. And oftentimes, you've been a busy person, you've done a lot in your life. That grind of life is what we have to do to make it, to survive, to make a living, to make it big. And so there's a line between success and even like high performance athletes and really breakdown, stress, disease, etc. So when we push ourselves to an extreme, we open the door to these other outcomes that can start to show up as we get older. But I always say it's never too late. It's never too late to change the way we do things. There's like breathing techniques that I teach that people can do to counter the effects of aging. I mentioned inversions when we were talking earlier. Supplementation as well. I have other things that I take as well, on a personal level that I've been taking for years that also I highly recommend, that are well-tested and natural. There's one that's called Never Say Die. And it's very interesting, and this is not related to any of this, but it's very interesting because it's very smartly designed and it's from very ancient times. What they did was they studied all the plants that were very, very difficult to kill. They're very resistant, strong. And they said, look, these plants must have something they must embody resilience, recovery, toughness. They took these plants and they learned to make a fermented product, almost like, we know that grapes are very good for you, the grape skin, let's ferment it and let's extract the good things about the grape. They extracted
Take the sugar out.
Yeah. And they extracted all the good things about all of these plants. And now you get it in these little vials, a very ancient recipe. And I only know how to get it from one place. If you're interested, I can let you know. And the vial is expensive. It'll cost you like $70 or something like that.
Wow.
But, you can make it last a couple of months. And so the idea is you're taking something, and that taking something is almost like a homeopathic strategy where you're wanting to get an essence of the goodness that these plants have. In the case of homeopathy, it's kind of like if I make an extract of a disease, of a pathogen, then I could give my body such a low amount that doesn't cause a disease. I don't even notice anything, but it primes my body for when I actually get the actual pathogen.
Like an antibiotic.
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's kind of like a different approach, that it's not something that you see the results. Even with supplementation, you're not going to see the results overnight. Right. It's like anything in life, anything good, it from building a business. Anything good doesn't happen overnight or even after a few years. I mean, it shouldn't take years, but it's something that you do steadily. You sculpt yourself until eventually years go by and you're like, crap, I feel better now than I did before. So that's kind of like the philosophy. At Simply Nootropics, because as you notice, I like to teach people stuff. I've been an educator for over 20 years. It's more about just selling products. We are really about education. And so we really want to make a difference in people's lives. We meet as a team, and then I have like this spreadsheet, and we have all the ingredients, all this research stuff, and we're okay, what are we going to add? What are we missing? What are the things that make sense? If they added, if the team added something, maybe I'll tell them, no, I would add this instead, or let's tweak this, or this dosage, how much. So we're very thorough in terms of like what we're wanting to give the customers, but at the same time, we don't want them to just be customers. We want them to be community members. We want them to really get more by learning, because at the end of the day, you can take all you want, but it's all the other things that we do in our lives that that matter just as much, if not more.
Right. So no, it's extremely interesting. Is it fit? Did you explain about this other product, the longevity? Is this pretty much the same?
Yeah. So maybe we'll finish with that one. The idea is these are good combos to pair up with. So remember, I explained that this one is gonna elevate the levels of a carrier that's important for converting the food that you eat into an energy form that your cells can use. Cells throughout your body, your brain as well. But what happens is that when you take this, you're upregulating a certain part of your body, and your biochemistry then consequently generates a waste product that needs to be excreted. And when it does, you need to methylate it, attach a certain chemical group to it. And this stands for trimethylglycine. 3 methyl groups, 3 of these things that you need to eliminate the waste. Methylation is used for a number of things, DNA regulation, a lot of important things in your body. So this will add back the methyl groups that you may be losing by taking this one. In addition, because this is involved in methylation, it methylates a certain compound in your bloodstream that's associated with heart disease. So it's also important for heart health. It's also been shown to I wouldn't say necessarily lose weight, but shift your weight away from fat. So it actually looks just to lose preferentially fat weight, so fat percentage. How much of your weight is fat-based?
I can probably use some of that.
So it's one of those, kind of overall really good products. We kind of like think this through, and so they're both like a great pairing. If people are interested, they can go to simplynootropics.com. We also have a Facebook community. We're also going to be launching, as I mentioned, a little mastermind for those who subscribe to the products. So if you have a subscription for any of the products, you'll be able to get access to even more tools for your wellness arsenal, so you can keep leveling yourself up and feeling healthier and more alive.
Well, Doctor, I have to say that this conversation has been enlightening, to say the least. It's extremely interesting, and I think that we're all interested. I'm interested in it because I think I need all the help I can get. So hopefully I can subscribe to the program and start doing it. So we thank you for being part of this podcast, and we'll invite you again, I'm sure, because I'm sure that a lot of our viewers are going to be interested in what you're saying and the solutions that you have for them, to become healthier mentally and physically. So thank you so much for being with us today, and until next time.